So, you guys, this movie is so lovely. You know, it's very homey. It's very comforting and comfortable. I'm going to kind of talk about the different parts and kind of ask some questions. I want to start with Tenley and Emily. You two play sisters, and the final one, Bird. What's it called? I'm so sorry. Resident Birds. Thank you. Our very Blue Jay and Robin. And I want to ask you about kind of creating that sibling relationship. There so much that is not said inside of the script itself, inside of the words. It's just actions that you do and little things here and there. So tell me about kind of curating that. We'll start with you, Tenley.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when I found out that my lovely co-partner, Emily Hall, was going to be cast, we started just meeting up about 3 months, I think, beforehand, just to get to know each other, find out, I don't know, the other person's favorite color, and really just get to know each other to be able to make that sister bond look real. I mean, in a way, I feel like she is my sister now.
That's lovely. How about for you, Emily?
Yeah, basically what she said. We basically started hanging out. We would do all sorts of things just to kind of really strengthen that relationship so that when we got there and, you know, because they're all like short, so you kind of have like a little bit of time that you're dropping into these characters' lives, that it felt lived in and it wasn't feeling like we were figuring each other out for the first time. So you kind of just drop into like what we had already created. So it was really cool too, because like a lot of the script influenced, I think, like maybe some of the activities we did to bond, but then we also kind of found our own little niche things.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
That's very sweet. I love that. And we also have Brooke and John here, who were our Hollywood couple, our screenwriters. We love it, yes. The Euchre champions, apparently. We'll have to talk about that. But I want to ask you two about the idea of just kind of getting to this place that's this idyllic getaway, but having very separate ideas about whether or not it's actually glamorous.
Well, I do want to say from the get-go, we hit it off immediately. And also the boy who plays our son is my nephew as well. So we immediately had this rapport. We scripted, we had asked Sierra if we could play with it, like how married she was to the lines, how precious things were. And I mean, fortunately, Brooke is amazing. So we went into it and we started playing and we would improv, and a lot of it made the final cut, but it was so much fun just playing with somebody that understands the craft. And I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, I think Jonathan and I felt so comfortable with each other, and that's so important to have that stillness and calmness and laid backness on set, because that allows for play. And once we established that comfortability with each other, we were able to argue and bicker effortlessly.
Did you have any conversations, Brooke, with Sierra about the idea of how far to take the character? How far, are you going to make her kind of uber, or is she just kind of misunderstood?
Again, it's a little slice of life that you're seeing from these people, so I still wanted us to have an arc within it. Mm-hmm. So I wanted it to start off and feel like this, kind of princessy, high expectations woman who like slowly settled in and saw the beauty of the world that was around her for the first time, potentially. So yes, Sierra completely helped us create that world and allowed us to have it. I will also say I know our couple was different from the rest of the characters in the film, and Sierra allowed us to have that reprieve in the film, which I think was kind of added kind of a refreshing bickering.
Yeah. Well, I love that you say that, because, of course, we learn that in the film there's a nearby camp for musically gifted children, and that is where our own Giovanni comes in as Enzo. Are you? Yes, he's wonderful. Right? Are you actually a violinist?
Yeah, I've been playing violin for about like 16 years, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you were ready to get that first chair. I said you were ready to get that first chair.
Yeah, I was slightly disappointed when I saw it.
PTSD.
Well, I was going to say, tell me about working alongside Jim, who played June. specifically the idea that, because of course in a 80s kind of throwback film, you'd be the villain, you're like the hot shot and you're like whatever, but you're very kind of laid back in this. There is an idea of, I'm gonna practice, I'm gonna do whatever, but I got this. So tell me about kind of curating that.
I mean, I was confident that my character was confident going into it, like, okay, I'm a shoe-in. I mean, everyone knows if you practice enough, you're going to get in. I was practicing it, obviously, because I told him that it's better than second chair. And I was actually talking with Sierra about this the other day. We went to lunch, and she said that there was something that was special about, like, everyone's performance, but I guess I was expressing my insecurity with my performance. Everything comes from a place of neutrality, and that's what we were sort of able to attain. And we were just going from where we were at, and that was what was so effective about everything.
Well, it was especially the idea of kind of finding the fun again. And we see June kind of falling apart, and then he has that moment where, you get into the chicken in the water and you hear him laugh and just have like a good time. And then at the end, he kind of doesn't even tell people, are like, who is that? And he doesn't even tell anyone. And there's this kind of look that, Enzo gives him where he's like, okay, I see you. Do you think it's like a look of mutual respect, or what do you think their kind of future, what's the next day like for them?
Sunfish Part 2? I don't know. I mean, hopefully we could battle it out in the future, and I think it would make a really fun feature. Yeah. Like in its own solo story.
I love that. Well, we are going to speak with Sierra and with Luke, who plays Garrett in our Two-Hearted. That is such an interesting, I'm glad we talked a little bit about this backstage. The idea of it kind of being fantastical, having this tall tale that you put on screen, but you make it real. And I want you to start, Sierra, about the idea of how that came to be and, why you decided to kind of put it in the film. And then, as our resident little bar buddy, tell us where you're kind of coming from when the gentleman who played Finn is telling you what he's going to do, and you're like, So let's start with you, Sierra.
So that chapter was really difficult from writing and then also directing and editing because it was so tonally different than the rest of the shorts. It really went somewhere that the other shorts didn't. And, we had conversations with all the department heads early on about how we would get to that moment because we wanted to move into that story in a similar pace that all the others have set, and then slowly move to this climax that's so bizarre and so, out of left field, but feel like we have been carried there. So it really, we start with Annie, who I think is more grounded and has the energy of the rest of the film, and then we meet Finn, who right away is throwing us into this tall tale. The bar friends are so important because they're our first kind of check on his, big ideas. They're telling him, that's unrealistic. I've never seen that before. But he moves forward with it. And Annie is so kind of claustrophobic and feels trapped and like she needs something in her life to be exciting that she goes along with this, although maybe she should not. And really, the story brings something to the film that I think is really true of small town life, which is this idea of small town chatter and how stories become mythologized and how something small can turn into something big just because everyone's talking about it and nobody really knows if it happened or it didn't, which is why we did that fade at the end of that chapter where the boats just kind of disappear. And, was it a time lapse or was this just, were we just taken on this story that will be rehashed again and again by our screenwriter. But I also wanted this feeling of mystery and that the whole film was hovering a little off the ground. It's otherwise a very grounded film, but I think the way that you remember things is a little fuzzy. And to get that fuzziness in the whole movie, I think that's really what Chapter 3 is bringing.
Yeah, that's wonderful. How about for you, Luke? Tell me about the idea of trying to ground your friend, and it's just not helping.
Yeah. I mean, well, for me, it was like the opposite of John and Brooke in the standing out in the town. They were like haggard fishermen at a bar. Luke Barnett can be here. So I felt right at home at that bar. I also, I knew Dominic, who played Finn. I knew we had a chemistry together. And so when I first got it sent to me, I was excited. And I think all of us, especially for like a group of actors here, you know, all you need in this industry is a handful of casting directors or showrunners that are fans. It's not that you need 50 people who want to fight for you. You need a handful who really fight for you. And like Jamie is, I think everybody here pretty much has had some relationship with Jamie where she's brought us back in for other stuff, whether we booked it or not. But it's like, you know, and I think that's just a testament to her casting this whole thing. For the bar scene, it's like, when I read it, I totally get that this one stood out a little bit as different, but I love that about it. For me, it's my whole family's from Kentucky, and it's all people from a small town with big problems or big stories. And like she said about like mythologizing these sort of things, that was what was fun. It's like everything else is so grounded and wonderful, and this is the one story where you're kind of like, there's definitely people in those towns that have told that same story for 30 years, and you're like, did that happen? Did it not happen? Either way, I don't want to know. I like the story more than I know, you know, whatever answer it's going to be. So it was a lot of fun to play with.
I love that. Yes, and a wonderful segue to Miss Jamie here, our casting extraordinaire. Talk to me about the process of, you know, do you read the script and then you say, oh, you know, you're thinking of this person, that person? Is it all based off audition? What's kind of your process?
I would say it just varies from project to project. I had worked with Sierra before, and so we had similar taste, and she trusted me. And I guess, like most people, when I read a script or a book, I'm picturing things unless someone has told me someone's already attached. And so I just started thinking about, and she had a nice lookbook. I started thinking about who I knew that might be right, because I always love fresh faces, but I'm always trying to work with the same people that I know are super talented and committed and will show up prepared and be right and be easy to work with too. So I've been very lucky with that. But that's basically the process. I presented some ideas to her, and then she had some ideas, and then we did still release a lot. Did we release every role? There were a lot of roles. we had 7 months. Is it?
Yeah, and there was a lot of speaking roles in this film, as you saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it's so funny. It's hilarious you say that, because when you think about the film, you're like, oh, you know, there were 2 people here and 2 people there, and you don't really think about the background and having grandma and pop and, you know, the bar patrons and all of that. So that's really interesting to me. When it comes to casting that large of a net, what is actually, I kind of want to reframe a little bit. So, of course, we have our actors here in the audience. What are some things that they can do? You've mentioned a couple of things, but just the idea of making sure that they are putting their best foot forward, that they're making a good impression. I know sometimes people say, oh, well, go in with confidence and you'll be fine. But then another person could see that as cocky and back and forth. So just kind of what do you look for when you're like, I want to put this person in this role?
Well, certainly confidence, but I come from an acting background myself, so I learned this earlier on, and I really look for this, and I try to say it, but there's rules we can't say certain things now. But I want to see actors ready to shoot the scene like they've already booked it. So even from the first audition, I don't want to see pages. I don't want to hear them. And I feel like if you're a professional, you're on set, you're going to get script changes last minute all the time, so you should really be able to pivot. That's a buzzword, but yes, you should be able to just adjust. And so I'm always looking for, like, and I know that's hard emotionally sometimes, because you really need to think it's your part to really nail it, I feel like, and come with that level of preparedness. So, but I'm looking for a spark and just a good listener, somebody that even if they if they nail it the first take, that they could still make changes and work with the director's vision more than or the screenwriter. And
Well, that is great
Yeah.
information. I hope you're all taking notes. Now, I want to go back to you, Tenley, and I want to ask you about, you give such an emotional performance, and it is kind of throughout that there's this idea of, this is my sister. I've been in this town probably all my life, and now, she has the nerve to leave me and try to take my sweater. Like, what are we doing? Tell me, where do you kind of access those emotions from when you're putting together your character?
Well, thank you. I grew up in that town. I grew up about 30 minutes away from where we filmed, so it was very much like it was my home too, and so that's where that kind of connection to the place came from. But otherwise, it was just more or less like drawing back on memories that I had made in like these places, not necessarily the same places that we filmed, but very similar places. Remembering, especially now because I live out here, those places are now feeling like they're part of my memory. And so thinking about them, they can make me a little emotional because to some degree they were part of my childhood and I do miss them. And of course, it was very fun to act with Miss Emily Hall over here.
Yeah.
And so she made it really easy. But yeah, no, it's my sweater. It looks better on me.
Emily, talk to me about the egg scene. Making the egg. It seems, I love it. It's one of those things that seems so small, but it can tell you so much about a person, and especially the way that you're giving her direction and just allowing her to kind of make mistakes if needed, but then still making sure you had it right on the other side for the boarders. So, yeah, tell me about that day.
That day was actually really fun. We did let the eggs burn which was, I was like, oh, okay. But that was really fun. I think for like Robin specifically, like she's such a caregiver and I think she loves being that. So I think like in the teaching Blue, Jay, like all these things, I think she actually does enjoy teaching her and watching her do things well. But at the same time, it's not like you're going to baby someone. So I think it was just, more than anything, like it was fun to shoot. But I think it was just so telling of their relationship. Like I feel like you instantly see who these two characters are.
Right.
And like how much Robin has taken care of and how it's about to be her who does all this. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I also, we're talking with Brooke and Jonathan now. Again, you guys have baby Henry. And for Caroline, he is a baby and will always be her baby. And for yeah, exactly. And then for you, he's almost a grown man. Let the boy be a boy. That kind of thing. Tell me, do you have any kind of like personal experience with that when it comes to either having children in your life that are kind of going through those stages and wondering, okay, am I going to let them grow up or I'm going to put them in my pocket?
Your nephew.
Well, so I have 7 nephews.
Ooh, yeah.
And I've watched them from 18 all the way down to I think 2 or 3 now. So I will say I don't have any kids of my own. Although if you Google me, it says I have 2. Long story for another time. But what's been really interesting having siblings that have kids is that I want to be a dad, and but you can't mess with your siblings' kids, so I don't.
Oh,
and I keep the boundary there, but I also I'm like, oh, this and that, and like so I play with them and I try to like fun parent, especially as they've grown up. Mm-hmm. So Ethan is number 3 out of all of them.
Oh, wow.
So it's been fun because he's also the only other family member in our family dynamic that's taken an interest in film. Mm-hmm. And so he and I have built this really special rapport over the years from commercials, and he's out in Pennsylvania. And so bringing that here, and this was our first time being able to act together, which, thank you. Well, and of course here as well. But I know you pushed for him. Because Jamie and I go way back as well, and so she was, and yeah, he auditioned, he won it fair and square. but it was still the opportunity. So it was very cool.
That's lovely. And yeah, Jamie, can you tell us more about that story? Because I would have been like, oh, they look exactly alike. It's a shoe and let's go. But yeah, there's sometimes you have things you have to go around.
I don't mind when my job's easier. But no, he mentioned it, and I mentioned to Sierra, and we always try to get anyone and everyone to audition just to see what they're bringing to the role in the project and the kind of connection they have with the director. So, but he was great, and didn't we have him read with Tenley too? Yeah. By the way, this whole thing was cast over Zoom, if you can believe it.
Wow.
Yes.
I literally remember both my audition and like Zoom callbacks with Sierra were in my, like, at the time 3-year-old's bedroom with like a dollhouse in the background because I there was a baby in the other room. It was I'm like the drunk pirate guy in the side. Like, what's happening?
That is amazing. Sierra, talk to us, because you were saying that this was shot summer of 2023, and you were one of the exceptions during the ongoing strikes that we had during that time. What was that like?
Which, thank you to our SAG rep for pushing us. But it was so stressful because I had the department heads fly out a week early to do prep. So the department heads were already there. The strike happened about a week before the department heads came out, and I was kind of just having faith that we would get the agreement. And all the actors reps were reaching out, and I was like, it's still happening. It's happening, guys. But we had no idea. And we just had to keep pushing, but I was hearing how difficult and how long the wait time was to get the interim agreement. And really the only people that were getting them were, people at like independent companies like A24 that have a direct line, straight to the top. And we were not that, but this was my student film. I was a student film at UCLA. I was not under a student contract because it's for short films only, but student films were not struck during the SAG strike. And so I told my rep, this is a student film. I'm under, the low budget contract, but like, if I don't shoot this movie this summer, I will not graduate. And she really responded to that and, had empathy and pushed us to the top, and we were able to get an agreement the day before my first actors were supposed to fly out.
Wow.
And I had that the night before. I was like down at the dock by myself, like having the lowest low moment, before we break into 3, and like just crying and just thinking, tomorrow I'm going to have to call my actors and tell them it's not happening. And then the next day we got a call while we were like location scouting out in the middle of nowhere. And it was our SAG rep that was like, I'm sending over the contract right now. And me and the DP and the producer were like, pull over the car. And there was like no service. We were kind of standing there with the computer, like waiting for it to come in. So I'm like, should I read it? They were like, no, just sign it. Signed it, sent it back.
SAG owns the movie now.
Right.
So didn't read it, but yes, we got it. It happened. The movie happened.
And you graduated.
And I graduated.
There we go.
We need to find that rep though, because she left SAG, I think, right after. It was like her last goodwill gesture, and she has no idea. I don't think that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to find her center edible arrangement.
We were just talking about this earlier. Sierra posted something her sister texted her, and it said, "Remember when Sierra made a home video and it went to Sundance?" And after laughing hysterically and screenshotting it and saving it, it just goes to show, make the thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter. Luke Barnett, amazing actor, shot. You can tell the story, but shot.
About Ovation?
Yeah, he just shot a short in 2 hours, and Variety picked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Second.
No, honestly, like a lot of people on this who are sitting right here, all make their own stuff in some capacity. And she's talking about a short I just kind of had go viral like 2 weeks ago, where we had an idea as like a take on the kind of long ovations at Cannes and Venice film festivals, and we weren't going to do it, and then we did it, and we literally shot it in 2 hours for $50, and suddenly Variety did a big profile on it, IndieWire did a big profile on it. I've probably had 2 of the biggest auditions of my life came from this 2-minute thing. This 5-minute thing that we shot for nothing. So it's just the best example of like as actors, it's like we can create our own stuff. Like Sierra made this movie as kind of as small as it gets. We literally like stayed in her parents' house to make this. You know what I mean? It was like as summer camp in real life as it was. But like so many people here are such creators that I just think it goes to show like. I know a lot of people who will spend 15 years saying they're going to make their thing and they don't. And like, honestly, I know everybody can't just do that, but like the thing we just made was $50 in 2 hours. So it's like, it's more about the concept and the idea and just doing it. And if it doesn't work, then who cares? Do it again, you know, but like Sierra did it and it went to Sundance, you know, you audition for stuff all the time where you're like, this is the thing that's going to go to Sundance. And then no one sees it and it never happens anywhere. And then you have the thing where you're like on a back porch and you're like, this is her dad's house we're at right now. And then like a year later, they're like, it's a Sundance. And you're like, who the fuck knows anything?
As Yoda would say, do or do not, there is no try.
Oh, there we go. We love that. Giovanni, I want to come back to you. I want to talk to you about, you got the summer camp segment, so you had a lot of other young actors to kind of play around with, and there were so many scenes that just kind of had like asides and little kind of small conversations. Were those kind of put together? Did you kind of talk about what you were going to say beforehand, or was it all kind of improvised?
No, no, it was all improvised. And in fact, a lot of it, because we were just, for some reason, we just had this insane connection. As soon as we first met, I mean, Sierra knows, we just connected. And then 2 years later, we still talk in the same group chat. Like, we're still, like, best friends. It was just a great group. In that great group, we just had a blast talking to each other. And Sierra would just roll the camera, and we would just have fun. And it was sort of like what the moment called for. And so whatever was happening, like, we were just, like, me and Michaela were just having a conversation about The Office. If the only thing Sierra cut out was Steve Carell's name for copyright issues. Right. But everything else was just very, like, real.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer a more kind of improvisational atmosphere, or do you like it scripted? Does it depend on the project?
That's such a hard question, because I think the writing serves the story, but it's also so much fun to like put in your own ideas. So I there's something that Tom Hanks said is, know your lines, come on time, and come with an idea. And I think if you know your lines and if you come with an idea, it allows for the magic to actually happen. And then like you can if the production really likes the lines the way it is, you do that. If they want you to do something else, you can do that. It's having options, I think.
I love that. Now, Jamie, I want to ask, so there is kind of a multitasking nature to actors now. You just acted and that was it, but now we have people that are making their own content and putting together their own productions. From a casting standpoint, is that something that you like to see on someone's resume, that they are also kind of looking at different avenues of acting, whether it be directing or producing, or does it just not matter and you're like, I'm here for the story?
I mean, I wear a lot of different hats. So I like to see people, if they're not making a living as an actor, trying other things, because I think it takes a village to make a film. So the more you know about what other people are doing, I think you can only be better at whatever your ultimate goal is. But so I do like that, and I try to keep up with other actors' success as we go. But there's still something about someone that is just doing one thing and giving it 1,000%, but everyone has a different path with this, so I feel like you just have to keep going and say yes to everything you can.
Yeah. That is such a interesting kind of thing, the idea of saying yes. My mom always said, closed mouths don't get fed. And I think that is something that we have seen within the perseverance of this film, within the script and within the performances. You all have created such a lovely piece of content. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us about it tonight.